after our first weekend back, we returned out to Monaco. The streets of Monte Carlo held the third round of the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. We started the weekend off with a bit of practice. Drivers got their head around this Monaco and very slippery Monaco street circuit. Bit of contact with a few barriers, bit of contact with a few curbs as well. Many of drivers trying to get their rhythm. And we did see a few cars in the barrier that brought out a red flag. We went into qualifying in the sprint race, and it turned out to be amazing as well. It's just turned out that I've gone to the wrong stream. That is a typical me thing to do. That is a very typical me thing to do. Wow, I can't believe I've just done that. That is a typical me thing to do. Wow. Typical. Absolutely typical. But yeah, we're racing this weekend around the Monte Carlo street circuit, 3.337 kilometres, 2.074 miles, as we head on to race day. Round 4 of the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. Kush Maini, of course, won last year. And of course, the pole position last year went to Alex Dunn. But this year, it goes the way of Rafa Kamara. Can he convert from pole position to lights out?
That's the grid for the Formula 2 feature race, where we look over immaculate vibes as the safety car moves away. For those of you who are expecting to hear the dulcet tones of the safest Formula 2 pair of hands, Chris McCarthy, he's feeling a little bit under the weather this weekend. So I'm Alex Brundle. I'm going to be guiding you through the action. And I'm not alone up here in the commentary box. I'm joined by a driver who has done a lot of racing around these streets, a race winner, a championship contender. Welcome to the F2 commentary box, Alice Powell. It's going to be a tricky race for the 22 young drivers.
It certainly is. Thank you, Alex. We do wish Chris all the best. I hope you're feeling better soon. But it's a challenge for these drivers, a longer race, of course. This is a feature race. 42 laps will be taken around this circuit, and F2 is the platform for those drivers, of course, wanting to showcase their skills and talent on the final step of the ladder in Formula 1. And it's a challenging place to do that.
It really is a challenging place. 2 road ends across the second row of the grid. And wishing Chris McCarthy the very speediest of recoveries. I know he'll be watching on and he's feeling better much very, very soon. Looking to the eyes of Nicholas Solov, who sits on the front row of the grid across from the Invicta of Rafa Kamara. Let's see how the rest of them line up there as we make our way through. Back row of the grid is a pair
of Tridents. It's Lawrence Van Hoopen and John Bennett lining up on the back row of the grid for both Trident cars. Of course, it's Chian Shields and Emerson Fittipaldi in position 20 and position 19. Rounding your grid, it's Joshua Dirksen and Rafa Kamara. Oh, sorry, not Rafa Kamara. Rafaela Villagomez in position 17. We then have Mari Boya and Nico Verone in 16th and 15th. Rounding your top 15 cars, and it's Sebastian Montoya and Colton Herta in position 14 and 13. Continuing further back down the grid, it's Tupanazol, Intrapazuviak, and Ollie Goethe in 12th and 11th. And yesterday's one of the race winners, Ritomo Miata and Kush Maini. Sorry, it was not our race winner. Noel Leon was our yesterday's race winner, alongside Roman Bolinsky, who finished second. Earlier today's race winner. And it's Gabriel Mini and Dino Boganovic in position 6 and position 5. And further up the grid, it's Martinez Denchon and Alexander Dunn in 4th and 3rd. And once more further up the grid, on the front row of the grid, it's Nikola Solov and Rafa Kamara on the front row of the grid. Rafa Kamara in the best opportunity of his career to win here at Monaco. Can he do it? It would be an absolutely amazing space to be in. There, look, Gabriel Mini starting in 6th.
Qualifying session, but there is plenty of racing still to go for him to hang on to that leading spot, and several drivers looking to take it off him. There you see the driver who is aiming to eliminate Oscar Piastri by bouncing from victory in the Formula 3 Championship to victory in the Formula 2 Championship. The Vista over Port Hercule, Alice, looking spectacular.
It is. And Gabriele Mini leading the Drivers' Championship still, but it's Leon that made such a great jump from, of course, winning the sprint race yesterday. He's 20 points shy of the lead that Gabriele Mini has. And then Rafa Kamara, who's starting on pole position with 39 points, will be looking to make the jump further up the orders. We continue to get great shots. Which is your yacht out there, Alex? Struggling to pick it out.
It's down the back, actually. My particular boat. I've forgotten where I parked it. I'll see if I can press its key and flash the lights and see if I can find it. We're working with a delayed start at the moment, but it looks like we are firing up engines now, ever so slightly delayed, as we often are, with the closeness of the Formula 2 and Formula 3 races to get a nice big gap for the Formula 1 event to be undertaken. But as the personnel clear the grid, these drivers see their contenders for the first time. A complex race, this one. There is the mandatory pit stop, of course, where you must change from the soft to the super soft, or vice versa. And both compartments of tyre must be used. An interesting penalty then for Joshua Dirksen, Alex.
Yes, so overall in this feature race, he's got an 8-place grid drop. So 3 places were for impeding another driver during qualifying, and a 5-place grid drop because he doesn't have the correct number of tyres to comply with the sporting regulations in relation to the feature race. So during qualifying, he damaged both front right tyres of the option compound set of tyres, and they deemed them unusable for safety reasons, which means he hasn't got enough tyres to take part in the feature race. So he's had to get a new set of option tyres, which means instead of starting towards the sharp end of the field, he's now all the way down in 18th.
Yeah, as a result, Joshua Dirksen finds himself out of meaningful contention down in 18th for the long race to go as we make our way round for the formation lap. And you can see there over the airbox of Rafa Kamara, who finds his way down towards the hairpin. Let's see what he had to say after a brilliant qualifying performance.
It's a very long race. A lot of things can happen. I'm not sure how will be the weather for Sunday, but I think it should be dry the whole race. But yeah, just focusing on ourselves, getting a good start, clean one, and from there on just managing the race. Hopefully it will be a clean race so we can do our things more calm. But yeah, I think just be ready for every scenario and then just try to grab some good points for the championship.
Indeed, it will be very important for young Rafa Kamara to try and score some good points in this one. Very important indeed as the drivers now make their run through and down towards the swimming pool chicane, out of the Novell chicane. And here, look down through the swimming pool chicane. It is quite hot out there at the moment. Air temperature at 34 degrees, track temperature at 48 degrees. So it is very hot out there, meaning loads of chance for these drivers to get as much tyre temperature in as possible. Rafa Kamara off the front row of the grid. Can he convert?
Nikolosov having a small lock up there as he heads into anti-nose to try and desperately generate some tyre temperature. And Kamara is certainly hoping for a much calmer race. We've got damage in qualifying, and his team doing a brilliant job once again to get him back out to stick in that sensational lap to take pole position. He only scored 2 points in Canada as it's getting ever so close at the rear end of the field as they blast through that swimming pool section, and that's Montoya having to take boarding action.
Oh, bit of contact there. Bit of contact at the rear of the field. So that's Bennett just making contact with Montoya. They make their way down, but they are all forming up there. 22 young chargers ready to try to take home the jewel in the crown that is Formula 2. Cars humming on the start line. You've got Rafa Kamara on the left-hand side of your screen. Pole position across from Nicolas Solov. Great performances in qualifying for both. Last drivers are on the grid, and revs will rise then for the Formula 2 feature in Monaco. And it's a great launch for Rafa Kamara, but he's got a little bit of wheel spin. Nicolas Solov jumps into the gap behind him in front of Alex Dunn. It's a challenge down the inside from Gabriele Mini. on Dino Vukanovic as they make their way down towards Sandoval for the first time. It's Joshua Dirksen who's side by side, and was there a little bit of contact there for Noel Leon on his way into Massenet. He certainly looked to be moving around Roman Belitsky there as they make their way down into Mirabeau for the first time. Rafa Kamara defends the road and has to do so because Solov was looking very feisty on the way down to Mirabeau.
There was a little bit of contact as the two rode in to get close once again, but further down the pack, Alex, there was contact, and that's Marion Boyer down the inside of Ollie Gerth.
Deep down the inside of Ollie Gerth, but Gerth is going to find the traction through the exit. Boyer with no grip of purchase as he made his way down towards the apex, and they've had to stay with the status quo. A little bit of difficulty getting these soft tyres up to temperature, Alice. It's much cooler today, and you can see the drivers very tentative as they make their way down to the Nouvelle chicane.
Yeah, no one being brave enough or finding the gap to throw it down the inside of the Nouvelle chicane, but Nicolas Solov got a perfect start, as did our pole sitter, but Solov was angled aggressively to try and hopefully get a better start than Kamara, but was able to, but he's putting Kamara under all sorts of pressure as we close out this final lap.
We've got marshals on the track down to turn one. We'll see if that brings about any kind of stoppage, but his first job done for Rafa Kamara. Needed to keep the lead as he makes his way into the first lap. That's what would have been playing on his mind all night when he thought about this feature race. Now he's got the pit stops to negotiate. You can hear tyres squeal as they make their way through turn one and desperately try to build in that temperature. Lap 2 of 42, these drivers know they've got a long way to go. Order across the line. Kamara, Solov, done. Vukanovic finished, then shortly on Belitsky, Miney and Miata. And there we can see the tyres for the first time. Leading runner on the alternate strategy for this race, meaning the softest tyre first. That'll be Montoya in the Premarin 50.
He'll be in early.
All the way down in 50.
So yeah, again, Sebastian Montoya, expect him to be in early. If my calculations are correct here, I reckon those tyres will only last about 12 to 13 laps. These super softs we know can last more than 30 laps, but at the end of 30 laps, they're quite dead. So I reckon about 23, 24 laps on these soft compound tyres before they then start to feel a little bit junky for the end of this race. Second in the super softs running field, it is Villagomez, and it's Fittipaldi and Van Hoopen, who sits currently in position 22 and not in the best position possible. But the leading soft runner is the leader of our race, Rafa Kamara. But a very good start from Rafa Kamara, must I say. He led down towards turn number 1 over Solov. Then it's Alex Dunn and Beganovic, followed by Mini. Montoya and Verona incident, turn 15 collision, has been noted there from the stewards, and that will be something that stewards will be looking at as they make the run through towards turn number 1 once more. Out the other side there, look, Mini getting all sorts of sideways and crossed up as he nearly smacked the Armco on the outside of the circuit. As now they make the run up through towards Casino Square, and then of course he will drop down in towards Mirabeau and down towards the Grand Hotel hairpin once more. This an absolute upper shot as to where these cars will be heading down towards the Grand Hotel hairpin. Top 5 setting line astern.
As much leeway as possible when they choose to pit the car. So some tyres are all the way down to Montoya. You've got Montoya and Verone being noted for causing a collision in turn 15. That's down at the second part of the swimming pool. But as they pull down for the third time through the middle of the Nouvelle chicane, it's status quo. So long is within DRS range, not DRS of the year, but it will be beneficial in keeping close to Kamara.
Well, I wonder if that contact that you just mentioned there was before the race began, where they were trying to generate tyre temperature. Solov looking very close there on the rear of Kamara.
Yeah, put that pressure on. And in they go to Ashley Nose for the third time. Kamara streaking away a sense of the sensational speed for the drivers as they make their way through. Solov for the fastest lap of the race that time round. Still a decent way away from where they have been in qualifying. Cars fat with fuel, of course, and the drivers will really be feeling that as they make their way into Massenet, heave the car in, and you feel the mass of it with a half a second gap towards the front. All that Solov can do now is try to stay close to Kamara and hope the pit will react to whatever the race throws up.
Exactly. It's not like Formula One where they've got the queue of strategists having a look. It's just one engineer, maybe the team manager as well, taking a look. So it's a lot for these teams to deal with around the streets of Monaco. as you can see, great drone shots. And they're back into the tunnel with our race leaders, Soloff, with the fastest lap of the race so far. Not back, of course, a long way left to go. And of course, it's not on the Griffiths tyre. That's a super soft, which I'll have to box for later on. So next time times all over the curve on the exit of New Hampshire chicane.
Tricky challenge for the drivers now, because what they've got to do is manage this soft tyre with a huge step from start through the middle of the sprinters as he tries to keep pace with Kamara. But they've got to manage this soft tyre to an unknown number of laps now. They could have to go 30 laps on it before they're getting anywhere near being able to visit the pit lane. So that's a difficult thing for them. We're going to have another look at the start here, Alex.
Look how the angle of the Red Bull of Soloff was. He was hoping he was going to get a better start. We saw that happen in the Formula 3 race. Bogdanovic had a look around the outside of Alex Dunn, wasn't able to make it. And you can see the Rodin machine of Stenchel getting close to another one of the many Alpine-backed junior drivers we have here. And it was all fairly clean across at the start. There was a little bit of contact further back in the pack on the exit of turn 1. But Central taking the trip across, and there will be contact at some point. There we go. One of the Tridents losing a little bit of a front wing. I think that was contact with Fittipaldi.
Yeah, this is the start from Martinez Stenchel. It's not very good, really. Gets off the line and then loses his spot. It's Gabriele Nini. He's racing with down towards turn 1. They end up going side by side. Huge moment against the wall on the exit of Sander Bott there for Martinez Stenchel. Let's have a look how it looked from the steering wheel of Oliver Goethe. Looks down the inside.
Whoa,
That's
definitely
a lot of contact, and all still running there, but a huge amount of contact to be dealing with. Look, he's got that steering, in fact, Ollie Goethe there. He's still running in 12th place, so that's an interesting one. Move around the outside, and that's Rafael Villagomez making his way around the outside of Kinship.
Saw the opportunity and seized it. So around where he's tail end of the field, so I think he had to stop for a new front wing. But fastest lap out front for our race leader, Kamara.
Yeah, fastest lap for Kamara. 1.2 seconds to the good now, so we have broken at DRS. Let's go down the front straight. Bogdanovic and Gabriele Nini is the battle that you can see. That's the damaged car, which has been sandwiched at the moment.
Standing lap 6 with the one in the back bumper.
Slow down, say Victor.
That's always a good thing for the driver to hear. It gives you confidence. You know, you've got the pace. Don't use it all now. So let's keep an eye on the lap times then, Alex, to see if he drops back. He's Stevens in the first sector at the moment compared to Soloff.
So let's just get into that. What they're trying to do here is not generate a gap for anybody else to pit into that would allow them to get across. Specifically looking at drivers, for example, like Montoya, that would allow them to get their pit stop done and not fall right to the rear of the pack. That would then allow them to cycle through to the front if everybody else has to pit under green later. So Kamara now trying to manage the pack behind him to make sure that nobody gets the jump on him. And he's in a difficult position here of having to do that for the full field. Instead involving Miata and Goethe causing a collision down to turn 1. That's the one you just saw on replay with Goethe trying to make it to the inside. Miata appearing to squeeze him towards the inside wall.
Bogdanovic is so close at the exit of Raskas to the wall, centimetres away from making contact, but that's what you need around the streets of Monaco. Yes, there's track limits at the 2 chicanes at turn 1, but the rest of the track limits are on the walls, and he was very, very close to the exit there as he's making his way up to the back of Alex Dunn, first and best in the first sector. At the moment, Leon like the fastest driver out there, down in 7th place.
Keep an eye on Villagomez. We've been talking to pitted for a new front wing. So he has done the fastest lap of the race. Unfortunately for Villagomez, I believe he was one of the drivers who was on the alternate strategy. So he may have just pitted, put the new wing on without the opportunity for a tyre change. But it demonstrates the capacity the pace that these drivers have and how much they're managing their pace at the moment. We saw it yesterday. I mean, Nicholas Son yesterday doing laps that were 10 seconds off his ultimate pace, and then delivering the fastest lap of the race just when we thought he's effectively breaking down. We've got Montoya and Van Houten then coming in to relinquish the super soft tyre. They're the first of the fitters. They're allowed to do so after lap 8, so it gives you a feel for the performance of that super soft tyre. You can have a Pauli and Billy Gomez, the last two drivers who are out there on the super soft.
Smooth stop by Trident. Struggled to get away, did Montoya. And interesting, if those of you that may have been watching the feature race in Formula 3, the comments from the drivers in the cool-down room after the race, how dirty the track was, how much rubber and marbles were thrown off to the side of the road, and dust as well. And we get a great example from the shot there. So I'm sure that would have been fed back to these Formula 2 drivers. It's a tight turnaround here in Monaco, so there was no opportunity really for the marshals and the cleaning equipment to go out onto the circuit. Gomez back now at the back with the hotter tyres, of course, all over the rear of Montoya.
Yeah, so Gomez started the race on soft. So with that nose change, he has taken found himself in the position to have warmer tyres than Montoya. He's going to look to the inside through the tunnel and make his way down towards the Nouvelle Chicane. We're going to see a move between Billy Gomez and Montoya. Montoya desperately trying to get those tyres up to temperature. He will not be happy with that at all. He's got a long way to go on that super soft tyre. He's going to have to cede the position then to Billy Gomez. This all over 20th position.
It is, and is this potentially going to be some of the contact which made the reason for him coming into pit, and that was contact with the rear of dirt. You see some flying front wing departing his car and perfectly down the escape road for a marshal to collect. So there was a reason for the pit stop for him.
Yeah, it's Joshua Dillon making contact with there. Starting the race on super soft, remains on the set of super softs. He's not satisfied that requirement to use both compounds of tyre. Looking there into the mid-pack, you're watching the battle between Beganovic and Alex Dunn. Beganovic and Gabriele Mini as well. It's a rear guard action. So Alex Dunn sitting 1.7 seconds behind Solov. Zelensky's also defending from Cushman Mining in the middle of the pack, 0.4 seconds between the two of them. That's over 8th position as they make their way down towards Rascat. So multiple battles going on out on track. Ever difficult to make the move. One of those multiple battles is Rafa Kamara, who is still receiving the attentions of Nicholas Solov. And if Solov can stay close, there's always the opportunity as well that they can cover Kamara in the pit lane and then request that Campos do a better job in the pit lane than in feature 2. This is Fittipaldi, the last of the drivers who started on that alternative strategy with the softest tyre first today. And he's going to jump to the pit lane on lap 10. He's going to have slightly newer softs than the others on that strategy. So pitters so far, Fittipaldi, Billy Gomez, Montoya and Van Houten as Fittipaldi makes his way back out on track.
Slightly longer for these drivers, of course.
The audio was playing through my phone. It's going to echo. The audio was playing through my phone. It was going to echo through the stream, so I had to reset it.
Too much out the front and try and compress the pack. I'd probably say, Alex, that he's not really doing that. I think that could be for the pressure from Solov. We know how aggressive Solov can be in making a move, and you don't want to give Solov any opportunity to go down the inside. So this could be helping or be the reason why Kamara's struggling to really compress this front pack.
What you've effectively got out front is an argument about how fast to go. You've got Kamara who wants to keep the pack tight. You've got Solov who doesn't want to be under pressure from Dunn through the pit stop phase on the same strategy. So Solov is effectively just putting himself, if you see Kamara actually make his way directly straight across the Nouvelle Chicane there, under exactly the pressure that we're talking about. You've got Solov effectively saying, look, if you do bunch this pack up and push me backwards towards the driver behind me, then I am going to put myself in a position to potentially pass you. So you're going to have to allow me to push on and get myself out of pressure.
If Kamara stops hitting, we can have more pace. Christian looks slower for him. Yeah, I think so.
So Soloff definitely feeling that he's got the legs over. He's very close to the wall on the left-hand side of the driver's point of view as he exits the tunnel there, trying to get the car as straight as possible for the tricky braking zone into turn 10. Of course, all the teams will be aware now of the message that Campos have passed over to Nicholas Soloff, or the question that Soloff was asked as Dunn slides through, and actually our top 5 all occupied by F1 team junior drivers, of course, our race leader Kamara, Ferrari junior driver Soloff Red Bull, then Dunn Alpine, Pitch Ferrari junior, and Gabriele Mini, part of the Alpine
possibly
as well.
So the question over the radio is informing the team's strategy on whether they are going to go directly head-to-head in the pit lane when Kamara stops and try to steal that position. You've got to remember Invicta right towards the end of the pit lane. There's a hope for Campos that they could basically put Soloff out into the pit lane and prevent Kamara from leaving his pit box, which is one option. Or whether they're going to try and leave Soloff out for another lap and overcut Kamara out front. So that's the decision that's going on at the moment on the Campos pit wall. Looking at the reverse strategy runners, of course, if there's a safety car, that changes everything. Our understanding is that Villa Gomez pitted off the super soft tyre and remains on the super soft tyre, having changed the nose, so won't have satisfied the mandatory use of both compounds. Why is that important? He's sitting in 19th place. If the field pack up under a safety car and everyone pits, you can easily cycle through to a point-to-fame position.
Push finally with a view at Ferrero Belinsky. He's all over the back of Belinsky, trying to find a way through from his push. Had that incident with that movement in qualifying. As DRS is available, but Belinsky's 2 seconds is the interval to Leon in front of him, so not aiding the benefit of DRS, but it's not hugely effective DRS round here, is it, Alex? Only one DRS zone heading up to Sandoval.
No, it is not the major element of this circuit. I think the walls, the tight confines, and everything else about it are the really significant elements. Watching Belinsky battle with Miney, that's the battle for 8 for Antonio Miata, who was so feisty yesterday. Made a nice move down towards Tabac. Is with a watching brief over that. The battle out front, slightly moving away now from Alex Dunn. Dylan Beganovic, Ferrari Junior up next. Next is Alpine Junior Gabriele Mini, leading the championship. 2 Rodents back in the action once more after they had a fantastic weekend last time out in Canada. And so Miata having a strong weekend as well in this Formula 2 campaign. He has a bit of a glittering CV for Tomo Miata. Significant achievements in the Super GT, GT500, and the Super Formula out in Japan. It hasn't had the easiest run so far in the world of Formula 2, but sits nicely just inside the points in 10th.
Alex Dunn still mirrors for Dino Beganovic, who seems to have the pace potentially on the Alpine Junior at the moment, or could this just be Dunn nursing his tyres? That's Gabriele Mini sneaking up to back the Stenshore. The gap was slightly bigger for him, but he's from the pace of Dunn, who seems to potentially be slowing down this pack here. That's allowed Stenshore to get up to the back, and then it's 7.3, it's now 7.4 seconds. Back to Leon, back in 7th place.
I don't dare call any kind of tyre difficulty after yesterday's sprint race for any of these competitors. We saw drivers back off and try and deliver the fastest lap. Points to take home for the fastest lap. There's a point available for it if you find yourself within the top 10 at the end of the race. If they can try and just shimmy into the fastest lap at some point. At the moment, it sits with Fittipaldi in the AX racing machine. But you do see drivers back off, less so in the feature race because they don't want to give up the ground or put themselves under any kind of pressure. And as with the casino at the top of the hill, it's important to keep the cars close to your chest. Drivers don't know how fast everyone is around them until they get to the pit stop phase and deliver all of that speed to the racetrack. In some way, what you see is a rolling sandbag fest from a few of these drivers as they try to goad others into making that pit stop, which will come much later in the race now for those who haven't pitted. Reminder, there are 3 drivers on the alternate strategy who have made their mandatory tyre change. That 15 of 42 continues on in.
Yes. And we've seen how being patient rewards you. Fittipaldi set the fastest lap of the race. And Villa Gomez now, Alex, comes into pits.
Yeah, so that's the second pit stop for Villa Gomez. Couldn't achieve the tyre change. I think it was too early to do the tyre change. They needed the nose change early on in the race. They have to wait till the conclusion of 6 laps before they are allowed to make the mandatory stop. Unfortunately for Villa Gomez, that means 2 stops. First one for a nose, second one for new rubber, and out he goes again. Can still scoot up to the rear of the pack here and potentially get a result. Weirder things have happened in Monaco. You can find drivers promoted from the lower regions of these races by safety cars. It truly is gambling sometimes, as we're watching Bogdanovic still with the DRS over Alex Dunn, still in a world of pink in 4th place.
It certainly is. Getting the exits is crucial here at Monaco, particularly out of the empty nose, so turn 19, where they brush up super close to the wall. Sometimes you see the rear of the cars sliding as they're desperately trying to find the traction. And pretty much if you nail the exit there, that's the main opportunity, isn't it, around this circuit, Alex, to dive down the inside into turn 1. If you're close enough and they've made a real hash of it, you can potentially go down the inside into the New Gale chicane, but it's risky, it's dirty offline there, slightly bumpy as well. So making sure out of turn 8 and out of turn 19, those exits, and you should pretty much be in full control.
I've had like 12 or 13 people.
Down on the pit wall, Invicta versus Campos. Those mechanics know what's coming. A very tricky pit stop, capped out in the shortest, tightest pit lane of the year, with their 2 drivers either coming in line astern
At the Hungarian Grand Prix
working
last
laps
year
apart in terms of the delivery of the pit stop. And those mechanics know
for
who's
F1.
making the difference today. Invicta versus Campos down in the pit lane, because it's very difficult to choose between the 2 drivers. Kamara being pushed slightly away from the pack once more, Alice. Look, they're looking at a 2-second gap now back to Alex Dunn in the first of the race.
They are, and certainly can the pit crew. It's obviously a much smaller pit crew than what they get in Formula 1, but they'll be training in, week out in the gym. Plenty of teams in Formula 2 have fitness trainers to train the pit crew, because these are big, heavy wheels, and they've got to do it. Each pit crew member on each wheel has to do it all by themselves. Of course, you see in Formula 1, there's sometimes 3 mechanics to 1 corner. And it's high stresses, high demand, and they'll be practicing these pit stops, not just back at the factory at their bases, but they'll be practicing the weekend. They roll the cars out into the walkway, out of the awnings, and the driver sits in the car, they'll push it through, and they'll practice over and over again. Because ultimately, as you mentioned, Alex, it could be potentially for one of these 2 drivers on screen having a victory around the streets of Monaco here in Formula 2.
Over the glitz and glam, the drone shot, very well drone shot that looks down over the streets of Monaco. Once more, the camera, which is in too much of a precarious position on the exit Lansing Oaks corner. The corner named after the man who came up with the concept of this race when the Cycling Club of Monaco became the Automobile Club of Monaco. Thought they should have a big race and called it a Grand Prix back in 1929.
Good.
No further investigation for that
on this Gabriel
Finished in
Bortoleto.
the early stage of the race. Gabriel Bortoleto, a legend of this formula, now doing the business for Audi in Formula One. It's been a decent weekend for Audi so far. Been a difficult qualifying session for Gabriel Bortoleto. It's great to see him, an alumni of this series, doing such a fantastic job at the pinnacle of motorsport. Dan's also warming up the shoulder rolls and the wrist flexing going on down the pit lane. They will be waiting for Dino Beganovic, who's embroiled in this battle with Alex Dunn. So they're pairing off, aren't they, to try to make positions.
That is a good point. I feel like in this race we're going to see whoever jumps first will jump afterwards here. So, for example, if Rafa Kamara jumps, I reckon everybody else will jump for that opportunity to come into pit road and put on a brand new, well, a sort of brand new set of super soft tyres. Here with just over 23 laps to go, but Rafa Kamara leads out in front, 1.7 seconds to the gap of Nikola Solov, and it's Alex Dunn in position 3. Currently watching this battle between Dunn and Dino Beganovic in 3rd and 4th. And of course, a second back, it's nearly Gabriel Mini, currently leads the championship at the moment. Now, this would be huge points for Rafa Kamara. It would be 10 points he'd be closing in on Gabriel Mini, who at the moment is got a 40-point lead in the championship. So a race and a half ahead of Rafa Kamara. He came into this weekend, he came into the feature race, came into qualifying just saying all he wants to do is score good points, and that's exactly what he is doing at the moment. As now the drivers make their run up through and down through towards Tabak, through the swimming pool chicane. Once more, you can see the rubber flying off the cars as these drivers push these tyres to the limit of load with just over 23 laps to go. I know, Harrison, I got called a good boy. Rafa Kamara, 1.7 seconds out in front over Nikola Solov and Alex Dunn.
With Gabriel Mini. Checking with Ollie Goethe. He had that contact early on in the race. No further action for that. I believe he's still carrying a little bit of damage to the front suspension. There you can see the wheel slightly out of alignment. He's defending Mary Boyer, the Aston Martin Academy driver. I moved yesterday around the outside of the hairpin. One I didn't even know a Formula 2 car had enough knock to achieve. But it was a great move from him. It's obviously not affecting the performance of the car for Goethe, but it won't be too comfortable for him as he makes his way between the walls and tries to be accurate in that machine. Just outside the top 10, these two. This is a battle over 12 positions, 7/10 of a second between them. But in real terms, they'll just be watching each other over the front of the cockpit and in the mirrors. All of these drivers in the mid-pack here with a lot of decisions to make as well.
22 laps.
Rubik's Cube multi-dimensional for these drivers about when they pit, when they decide to jump. All of that will be led, I think, from the front of the field. We saw yesterday in the sprint race, Alice, drivers, especially Gabriel Mini, who runs a podcast in the cool-down room whenever he is on the podium, finished tyres, didn't they? Were bemoaning their finished tyres after 30 laps to give you a sense of about how long this soft tyre would go.
And he's good at a Rubik's Cube as well. We're talking about Rubik's Cubes. Nicola Solov just sets the fastest lap of the race, so it dips back down into that 1.3 second range as we head towards the halfway point. So at the halfway point now for these drivers in this Formula 2 race. Mary Boy is still trying to chase down the rear of Ollie Goethe. We talked about damage, he said, for Ollie Goethe, of course, at the start of the race with that contact with Beata. That made me instantly think of that impressive Ollie Behrman lap in Baku where he was carrying, well, more than a knocked out steering and took it to pole position. So even with some slight damage, still Ollie Goethe seemed to have some pace in his empty motorsport machine.
And sometimes really affects the drivers, other times they're able to work around it. Ollie Goethe, decent amount of experience in a Formula 2 car now, 6 races at the end of 2024, in the championship last year. Has plenty of races under his belt, and he will recognise that actually if he does miss it, it takes the chances of him being actively passed on the racetrack are relatively slim, and this could still work out beautifully for any one of these drivers if they happen to fit at the correct time. The full field filing into the pit lane one lap before you, and then you find yourself pitting under a safety car or similar, can be beneficial here in Monaco. Gabriele Mini's front tyres are looking like a wet weekend, aren't they? As he makes his way through the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane. Plenty of ridges and valleys on those bad boys.
Yeah, they don't look fun to drive, and I was just trying to catch a glimpse in the background of Stenshall as well, whose front left tyre wasn't looking fantastic, but certainly in better condition than those of Gabriele Mini, who's now under pressure from Stenshall to ride on board, and we get a nice shot of that front left tyre. All the lock that you've got to put on, pretty much all the lock a Formula 2 car will produce through the Fairmont hairpin, down the hill into Portier, and then square it off, clean to throttle. High traction circuit here. We were talking about yesterday how the rear surface temperature of the rear tyres can shoot up, as it's a lot stop go here. And Maps the kind of on the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane, coming to finish sector 2 and head into sector 3 as they cut the timing being for that sector through the swimming pool chicane. And how close can he get to that wall on the inside? Plenty of times we've seen, haven't we, Alex? Just get a little bit too close, not that steering out, and that can see you sent into the wall on the exit of 16.
Not as friendly, is it? Front tyre for Martin Stenshall didn't quite get off the line the way he wanted. Had to battle with Gabriele Mini, who sits ahead of him.
There's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton arrives on the racetrack as
I think
Formula 2 continues.
I think he was just telling somebody who may have been taking a photo of him, as many people try to in the photographers of the Formula 5, saying, "There's cars out, get out of the pit lane," as we will be edging towards territory where some of these drivers might be heading into the pits. Of course, GP2 champion many years ago, Lewis Hamilton was often spotted keeping an eye on the support races here at Formula 1 have.
Tried mechanic, I think, was about to ask him where he got his suit from as he came in the pit lane there, looking suave as always. Campos there, still just waiting. We do see brinkmanship to the end of the race here. Martin Stenshall's front tyres
They're looking very
not
second.
looking happy, and it can be this stage of race, Alex, where in Formula 2 drivers start to struggle even in the tunnel. It's the great Adrian Newey who theorised that the ceiling of the tunnel affects the car's aerodynamics and actually reduces the downforce ever so slightly on the way through there. Formula 2 cars definitely not completely stuck, especially late in the race. You've got Campos there out in the pit lane already, which will be an early pit stop to take the super soft tyre to the end of the race. Considering we had all of our soft first runners in by lap 10 at latest, you've got Ollie Dörfer then in the pit lane. And he's coming from 12th position. He's the first of those soft first runners to pit. He's obviously struggling with that damage, which I would have thought would be assisting his time winner.
Absolutely right. And John Bennett as well for the Trident cars. Coming to pulled into pit lane looking for a smooth stop. Newton had a smooth stop. There's a great shot as well as degradation on the front of John Bennett's tyres. Set of super softs go on, behind, very nicely, and released onto the circuit.
So is going to make his way out, has filed out behind those who pitted on the alternative strategy early on in the race. So this is a play against a safety car later on. So they're hoping that they would gain track position effectively, having pitted. And what they're risking here is running out of those super soft tyres before the end of the race. So that is a massive gamble, really. They've just got damage. Bennett's out of the meaningful running, and they're effectively gambling that there's going to be a long safety car which both takes away the degradation of that super soft tyre and also gives them track position before the end of the race.
You've seen how gambles can sometimes pay off in the nature of a pit stop race. And Kushmini now coming
scheduled to go for, I think, like an hour and 30 minutes, these sort of races, the feature races. It could be like an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes. I think it's like an hour and... Oh, it might be an hour and 15 minutes.
Was over a second quicker last time.
No, yeah, definitely an hour and 15.
those front two drivers. Just hearing that there's been some contact somewhere around the second one of the drivers with the wall. We'll try and catch that in a moment.
No, we haven't got a yellow flag out yet, but we've heard over comms there is a car parked in the scenery somewhere. We're still watching this battle between Miney and
I feel
Miata.
like Gomez.
So no yellow flag noted on the timing system. The battle then keeps on continuing between Miney and Miata. Miney had a bit of a turbulent qualifying session, contact with Van
I
Houten.
feel like Gomez has
Early
gone
on in
off.
that cost him a penalty. What's going on here then? It's looks like it's
Montoya.
the trainer of Sebastian Montoya has made a little bit of contact with the outside wall. And this was the contact for Ollie Goethe, better steering early on, and as a result, the pit stop. We've got the first couple of pitters from the higher reaches there. Gabriele Mini with MP makes his way into the pit lane. Let's see where he's going to fire out. It's a little bit slow for MP on the right front, and that's a critical moment then for Gabriele Mini, who is potentially going to be cost time. We've got Kim Shields from down the lower order, also in the pit lane. We're watching down that front straight to see where Gabriele Mini is going to file out. And it's ahead of anybody who has pitted so far. There is Montoya in the background. So Gabriele Mini is going to fall back out into 16th position on the road. The two leading pair still nowhere near jumping. We're back with that battle between Miney and Miata, which
The optimum pit window at this point, I could only imagine, would be about lap 31 if you would want to go on to the super soft tyres. So if we were to see a safety car within the next 4 laps, you would think the lap after the safety car has been deployed that big slides! Big slide as Belinsky is now being told to box. Big slide. I'm not sure if it finishes in 15 minutes, but that was a big slide there from Fornaroli as he made his way through the swimming pool section. And Roman Belinsky now into pit lane, off the soft tyres, on the super soft tyres. Will this be a quick pit stop? A slow on the left front, ever so slightly there from Belinsky. You could see the left front was late going on there a little bit. So that might cost him about a second or two. And this was Montoya round the outside at Casino Square. Wow! With the grip of those tyres right around the outsides, heading up in towards Casino Square. That is a very good move. Montoya leads this race. Technically will lead this race up to this point and has pulled away, by the way. 1 second. 1 second nearly. The margin back to Gabriele Mini. Verona incident, turn 1, leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Under investigation there. Meanwhile, Montoya and Belinsky side by side here. Looking around the outside and has jumped Mini. Gabriele Mini has had a problem somewhere because he's dropped now 4.9 seconds. The gap between Belinsky and Gabriele Mini. So this is definitely a problem. And at the moment, this man leads the Grand Prix with 14 laps to go. The ARTGT team watching along. Noel Leon being told to box. Leon in. I'm confused about the race. I've just started or it's about to finish. I'm confused. There's 14 laps to go. 14 laps to go. Noel Leon. And it's slow on the right front for Noel Leon. And that will cost him a bucket load of time. Yep. Andrew Pazuviak as well into pit road. Off the soft onto the super soft tyre. Nico Verone, 10-second time penalty. So Verone will get a 10-second time penalty added to his race. As Noel Leon exits pit lane and will be nowhere near the front of the grid. Fittipaldi has jumped and has now made his way in. Beganovic now being told to box. Yeah, pit lane now starting to get very, very busy indeed. Beganovic sitting in position 4. He's being told to box this time around. At the moment, Enzo Fittipaldi currently leads this race. Technically, at this point, Fittipaldi leads this race. It might be Joshua Dirksen. No, it is not Joshua Dirksen. I'll confirm that with you in just a few moments' time. It is Fittipaldi that is currently leading this race. Look at the slide as he made his way into pit lane there. Begenovic into pit road now. And we'll be getting off those soft compound tyres and we'll get on to the super soft tyres. Now, this is probably not the optimum window you want to be boxing, as a bit slow on the left rear. Bit slow on the left rear indeed. And that is Roman Belinsky off the road on cold super soft tyres off the road. And now has been absolutely barged off by Noel Leon, not off the road. Was not barged off the road, but definitely got forced through on there. And that is a big problem for Noel Leon. And what this is doing is this is giving people like Fittipaldi and Montoya that lead. And now Begenovic has pulled out in front. He leads this race as it's all kicked off. It has 100% all kicked off at this point in this race. Begenovic leading out in front. Big lock up from Noel Leon as they made the run through towards turn number 1.
For the rest of his stint, you can see the flat spot there. And is he going to be under pressure even up to Massenet? Belinsky is all over the gearbox of Noel Leon, who just cannot seem to get this set of tyres up to temperature.
Begenovic is leading.
Cold tyres, as you mentioned, as he has that lock on. I actually thought he did a good job of not sailing straight on. How many times do you see drivers attempt to still continue having such a big lock off as Ollie Gurns is looking hungry on the rear of Van Houten? But we're going to catch a replay now of the Belinsky attempt, who's on the outside. That's brave stuff. You're going to go round. No, just rear, kicked over. Leon made the corner wider than it needed to be, and of course had to concede the place. And that actually compromised, didn't it? Gabriele Mini was trying to make a move past Leon, but was blocked by the slowing Belinsky, of course, who had to give back the position.
Yeah, almost got there, didn't he? Gabriele Mini. There was just no track to use. Leon was being picked up for a pit lane infringement there. So that'll be investigated after the race. That'll hang over the head of Noel Leon. Other penalty that was given out was 10 seconds for Veronis. It's in 9th at the moment. So that's a shame for him. Will drop as it presently stands outside the points, although he still needs to pit in the Van Amersfoort Racing. So in any case, it's not going to be the best result. And still we wait for the leaders of the race to pit.
Yeah, again, I think the leaders are trying to extend possibly out to lap 31, maybe even lap 32 in this race, or have the hope of a safety car, which, by the way, if there was a safety car in this race, it would absolutely change the course of this race completely, and it would almost give Rafa Kamara the lead of this race, and the people further back down the grid would be absolutely shafted. There, look, Ollie Goethe, currently at the moment, what tyre is Ollie Goethe on? He's currently sitting in position 18, and he's on probably some of the freshest super soft tyres out there at the moment, I could only imagine. Sorry, no, he's not on the freshest super softs. It's got Ollie Goethe now looking around the outside, heading down through towards the chicane. Once more, he's currently putting pressure onto the back of Laurens Van Houten, who currently sits in position 17 as he files his way through the swimming pool chicane. Way over the curb there as the cars pound over the curbs once more. Rafa Kamara currently leading out in front. Look, 2.1 seconds back to Solov. Then it's 5 seconds back to Dunn for the moment. Now, at this point, Kamara, the gap that he has, I reckon he will probably come out just up in front of Begenovic at this point, I can only imagine. So starting to extend that margin as he wants to possibly try and get out in front of Begenovic. Has got Goethe right up on the rear bumper, on the diffuser of, at the moment, Laurens Van Houten, and was about 4 milliseconds faster on that last lap now to the inside of the road. Can't get it done into Massenet. Can he get it done in towards the Grand Hotel hairpin? Fairmont hairpin, more or less. Round the outside of the hairpin. Not going to happen. Can't do it 2 races in a row. No, but definitely applying the pressure. Turn 10, leaving the track and getting an advantage for Belinsky. Harrison's playing F1 manager right now. Amazing. Stenchorn being told to box now. So Stenchorn into the pit lane. And Stenchorn at the moment currently sits in position 4. And at the moment, you would think possibly in hopes for a race win. Goethe, you can see the damage on the left front of his suspension there. Definitely with a bit of steering damage as he tries to work his way through on Laurens Van Houten for the moment as he flicks his car right through right and left. So I've signed Oscar Piastri and Ollie Behrman. Cool. In Mercedes. Wow. Jesus. As Goethe now tries to apply the traction out the other side. Continues to once more slide out the other side. The only drivers at the moment that have got a penalty are Nico Verone for a lap 1 incident cutting the chicane. Solov now into the pit lane. And this is huge. Solov being told to box. Just 10 to go. Yeah, 10 laps to go. And Solov now being told to box. This is a huge moment in this race. Indeed it is. So, Goethe, we continue to watch an eager eye onto the back of Nicholas Solov now into pit lane. This is an important pit stop. Stenshorn in as well. So some of the leaders now have boxed, and this is going to force Kamara in. This is definitely going to force Kamara in.
Racing behind him, but will need to find a decent little gap here and then get a lap in. So you've got Solov in, you've got Stenshorn in. We await Kamara, who's got a big gap back now to Alex Dunn. Where is Stenshorn going to feed out? Into the path of traffic. Oh dear, right directly into the middle of this battle pack look, and Martinez Stenshorn will be really, really keen if he can to clear these drivers, but he's not going to be able to. He's going to drop back behind this battling group.
I expect that Solov would have liked to have been slightly further. Did a little bit of a slow stop, but we can just...
Yeah, Solov there would have liked to be a bit further up the grid there. Is now under braking. Laurens van Hoopen nearly put the thing in the barrier as he made his run in towards the chicane once more. And look there, nearly put it into the barrier. Did Laurens van Hoopen as he turned the car and didn't have the grip he expected. Goethe, look at that left front tyre as it shreds up like a bullet. Here, that tyre not looking in the best of shape, and it won't be helping the fact that he's got a bit of steering damage at the moment. As they're in now, Rafa Kamara, as I said, he would be forced to react, otherwise he would get undercut. Now, this is a huge moment in this race as he wheel spins, as he tries to find traction off the rear end of that car. Will he jump Solov? He has. Kushmani up in a second, and look at the margin he's had. That is a huge margin. Indeed it is. And now this is going to be a problem. Motomo Miyata just up in behind. Motomo Miyata will put all the pressure onto the back of Solov to the outside of the dirty side of the road and proceeds to get the move done. Miyata up in a second. Beautifully done. But Kamara is on stone cold super soft tyres, and look at that time he's dropping. He's dropping a chunk of time. And at this rate, Solov will catch him. And stand corrected. Sorry, Dunn has gotten by Solov, and that's a bit of a battle that's currently going on right now. Look at the cold tyres that Solov is on right now. He's having to eagerly make his way through here. He is on stone cold super soft rubber, and this is not going to be a good feeling for him. Not going to be a good feeling at all for Rafa Kamara. The margin look 5 seconds between Kamara and Solov. Meanwhile, Mari Boyer, and this is a battle further back down the grids. Mari Boyer and Alex Dunn. Mari Boyer and Alex Dunn at the moment currently sitting in position 6 and 7. That battle there. Alex Dunn. Sorry, P5 and P6. That battle. Dunn and Boyer. And just in behind, it's Colton Herter in 7th in the Cadillac coloured car. He's now making their run through in towards Rascasse once more. We have seen already a dive in this race around the outside at Rascasse, which is not very often you see it. But now, Kamara, being put under pressure by Solov. Bit of contact. Kamara's off the road. Kamara, our race leader, Rafa Kamara, has gone spearing off the road into towards turn number 1 and will be out of this race. That's huge.
Is off from the virtual lead of the feature race. Yellow flag is out, lap 35 of 42, and that is the moment where Kamara loses the feature race, and it is devastation at Invicta. Was everything correct with that machine?
Now, that thing does not look to be moving. That machine, that Invicta, does not look to be moving. Look here, this is a replay. Kamara under braking, and has had a big left front lock-up. And I think now it's the moment of trying to find reverse. And not happy Is Sullivan not happy as the Invicta crew? It doesn't look like he's going to move. Nah, he's done. He can't get that car moving. He can't find reverse. So this is going to deploy either a virtual safety car. I wouldn't imagine it's a full safety car. Ratomo Miata's in. And Kush Miney, who's currently leading this race, virtual safety car. And this is huge. VSC has been deployed. And this is a big moment for Ratomo Miata. The high-tech team pulls into pit lane. And virtual safety car is probably the best position they could be in. And this is going to put Ratomo Miata way out in front. From second, where will he file out into? Of course, he cannot cross that white line. See where, of course, Ratomo Miata files out into a bunch of old tyre runners, I think. VSC ending. So that was a quick virtual safety car. And guess where that's put him?
Wasn't any issue on this back one. You went down as low. We had a massive margin. What just happened there? I don't know. It was everywhere. You also
Oh, and we've gone back to green.
We've gone back to green. There.
Mike has to cede a position there. And then we're heading back down. So DRS is once more, and a little bit of a shove there from Joshua Dirksen. Ratomo Miata being under pressure here. Dirksen still one of the drivers yet to pit, still on the soft tyres he took from the beginning of the race. But Miata massively struggling, several drivers massively struggling to get this soft tyre, this super soft tyre, up to temperature. And Miata, one of those, is going to be Beganovic, who's next to deliver the pain around the outside of the Nouveau chicane. And he's descending through the order here and away from a potential podium position, having just pitted and therefore struggling with that super soft tyre, getting it up to temperature. Bizarre.
And that is indeed very bizarre there. Rafa Kamara, it doesn't sound like the Invicta crew are very happy at this point, and he's just said over the radio that he had no grip on those first couple of laps there. And it's what we've seen now. It's what we've seen in the last couple of laps, with drivers struggling for grip. Ratomo Miata has dropped back to 9th in this field. Has Kush Miney boxed? Now, I want to know, has Kush Miney boxed at this point? Because if he has, he's won this race. Now, I don't see why Kush Miney boxed under that virtual safety car, unless he was probably in the first or second sector. But if he has, then you would almost imagine that that is a confirmed race win. If it isn't, then it's no. So Kush Miney is not boxed yet, nor has Boyer, Herta, Verone, or Dirksen. So those drivers have not yet boxed. At the moment, our provisional race leader is Nikola Solov over Alex Dunn, and sitting in third, it's Dino Beganovic. So confirmed Alex Dunn will be on the podium along with Beganovic, and it's a battle for the podium between Beganovic and Ratomo Miata.
26 seconds it looks like for a pit stop. So Miney will find himself in the middle of the top 10 when they get back going again. Married Boy's been noted for a virtual safety car infringement, so that would be too quick in or too quick out, one would have thought, for Married Boyer, who is still yet to pit in the 12th car.
Stenchel all over the rear. Nikola Solov fastest lap. Stenchel all over the rear of Miata, desperately trying to find a way through. Solov won the feature race here in Formula 3 last year, and quite comfortably as well, even with a couple of safety cars. So used to leading at the front. Is it a move down the inside? It's not
first
a wide
corner.
enough open for Stenchel. He's going to have to tuck in behind Miata once more.
Really struggling.
Yes, I did.
There are areas of the Mediterranean with more grip
4 laps to go.
than Miata has.
That's 4.
It is really difficult to get that tyre up to temperature, essentially with a bit better performance underneath him.
4 laps to go.
Miata were very close to each other.
Why do you want to know so much? Is it because you want to record this video with me?
I wonder if they're considered to have overtaken.
I'm guessing it's because you want to record this video. As a long walk back to the Invicta pit lane goes Rafa Kamara there. So now down towards the Nouveau chicane once more. Kush Miney, of course, still has to box. Kamara currently out of this race, unfortunately. There, Married Boyer currently under investigation for a VSC infringement.
Best lap of the race, 4/10 quicker this time round than Soloff, but we saw Soloff in the sprint race yesterday, managing his tyres perfectly, doing a fast lap, then allowing the tyres to drop, to pull the gap still just under 5 seconds between Dunn and Soloff on the road, and of course Miney still yet to pit.
Colton Herta sitting in 5th place on the road, still yet to pit. He's battling with Nico Verone, carries the 10-second penalty from earlier on in the race. And
Larry Boyer, 5-second time penalty.
5-second penalty then from Larry Boyer will not be welcome whatsoever. But watching this battle between Colton Herta and Nico Verone, relatively quiet weekend, one would say, for Colton Herta, making his debut in Monaco, driving against competition who have experience around the circuit either from previous years in Formula 2 or from Formula 3 campaigns. So it's always going to be a difficult task, but Colton Herta with another driver in this incredibly deep Formula 2 field, a glittering success. We're still waiting for some drivers to pit that 40 and 42, and they surely must very, very soon. But they're waiting out to the absolute end. You've got Boyer, Herta, Verone, Dirksen, and Miney, who leads the race on the road, still waiting to come in the pit lane, jump on the airbox. While Nico Verone, you can see how much Herta's now struggling with that rear tyre, slaps the audience almost on the exit of Saint-Étienne.
Threw me back into my seat, and you can see when we saw the shots of Herta's front tyres looking, well, they certainly looked a lot better in the past, and of course have to come in to box at the moment, confirmation of Verone's.
Now, I don't see why drivers are doing this here, because if you remember back to, like, literally a couple laps ago, we've seen drivers with extremely stone-cold super soft tyres, so I'm just wondering why drivers are leaving this so late. They won't be able to use any of the super soft tyre, because by the time they get to the end, the tyres will just have gotten up to temperature and pressure. So very strange as to why teams and drivers have decided to leave it out this long. And of course, you have until lap 42 to box. We're on lap 41. So look, you would only imagine Kush Miney would be in at some point there. In the background is Rafa Kamara walking back towards the pit lane. But look, I could only imagine Kush Miney would be in this or next lap, as pulling into pit lane is the Invicta. Oh, someone nearly got run over there by an F2 car running across the pit lane there. So that is the danger. And Colton Herta being shoved off the soft tyre and all the super soft.
Complete pit stop from the high-tech team. Further down the pit lane, Joshua Dirksen. Is it a quick stop from Victor Racing?
Looks relatively decent. They had to manage it on the exit there to manage the exit from Herta. Unfortunately, these drivers are going to come out of the pit lane well outside the top 10, along with Ollie Goethe, who's been carrying that damage, of course, from the beginning of the race that was spotted very early on. And you can see the difficulty for them. They're going to be coming out of the pit lane.
There's 6 minutes of time certainty remaining of this race. If my calculations are correct, it's either 7 or 8, maybe even 6 minutes of this race in terms of time certainty remaining, as one of the ARX cars right around the outside. That look there, Josh Dirksen. Sorry, no, that's not Joshua Dirksen. That looks to be Chian Shields looking around the outside of Colton Herta. That for position 15 and 16 into pit lane. There is Kush Miney. So, of course, almost perfectly on the pit window closing. And, of course, that was before the final lap. So, did that almost perfectly. Kush Miney, though, will be on stone cold tyres. And so will Mary Boyer, who's come into the pit lane as well. So, Mary Boyer will drop further back down the grid. Kush Miney, though, looks to be as if he will be on the podium at this point. And Kush Miney, at this point, will just be roaming around on these super soft tyres and might even become under a bit of pressure from Dino Beganovic, who's now dropping his way in towards the right-hander of, which is Mirabeau, and he's struggling now into the Fairmont hairpin and might even be under pressure by Beganovic on this final lap. And this is what I was talking about before. Cold tyres and you put it on the final lap. You're under pressure here, Kushmani. And now to the inside of the road, Kushmani will cover defensively under the tunnel as he makes his run now through down towards into the chicane once more. Dino Beganovic to the outside of the road. Deep on the brakes on the outside of the road is Kushmani, who squeezes Beganovic off the road. Looking 3 wide down the background is Vitomo Miata. But in the end, Nikola Solov will cross the line in P1. We have to cut back to this battle. Dino Beganovic, side by side, Kushmani. Dino Beganovic has gotten 3 for P3. Kushmani and Vitomo Miata battling it out for P4 and P5. And this is what I was talking about. The RTGT team have shafted themselves right to the outside of the road there. Is that one of the high-tech cars down in the background of Stenshorn? Up the inside, side by side through the final corner. Stenshorn, can he get the traction? I think he might be able to. Yes, he has. And will cross the line just in front of Vitomo Miata. Kushmani was under huge pressure in the end there, but finishes P4. Oh, I'm sweating after that. What a race that was between those two. Beganovic, Kushmani and Stenshorn. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Battling it out right to the end there as big lock-up for Mauri Boyer as we look at this battle for position. Mauri Boyer and Chian Shields. Can he get the move done? No, he cannot. But can he get the traction to the line? No, he will not be able to. Mauri Boyer crosses the line and will finish himself up in position 16. And now penalties will start to roll through. Nico Verone finishes in 20th. Everybody has crossed the line. Nikola Solov wins in Monaco.
From the tyre there, we finally see the Red Bull man. A brilliant
Well done, mate. Well done. Not a lot of people can say that I've won 3 times in Monaco. Very good job. Only weekend was amazing, mate. Seamless. Oh, man. Come on, man. We deserve it so much, man. And that's not the only thing we deserve. Oh, my God. Thank you, man. As always. Very good, very good.
outstanding drive from Nikola Solov. So there was the little bit of debris that we saw down in Portia. It came off the car a minute ago. So this is the battle we want to see. So Maini is defending on very cold tyres from Dino Beganovic.
So they couldn't defend. Kushmani couldn't defend. He locked up almost and went straight on the chicane. The Rodent and the high-tech car came into contact as they made the run through the final corner. And that was so close to the wall, was the high-tech car of Martinius Stenshorn, and nearly put the thing in the Armco. That was an enthralling battle at the end of the Monaco Grand Prix for the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. That is the way we want to go racing in F2, and that is the way we expect it to stay for the rest of the season. Of course, it's a short turnaround from Monaco. We head straight to Barcelona next time out. Of course, next weekend, a huge weekend of action. GT World Challenge Australia, Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia as well. So GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS, and of course, Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia as well. Of course, then followed by F2 and Formula 1. So a big weekend. And Nikola Solov, very nicely done, sits on the halo and will celebrate in amazing style. Harrison says, I'm going to be watching all of that. And indeed, he will. And Harrison might even watch both point of views, if I'm being completely honest with you. And the first weekend that I'll be streaming GT World Challenge Australia live right here, so I will not be missing a moment of that, and you can catch it here from my live reaction, my point of view of everything, and you can also watch the live world feed. If you're across America, you will have to watch it on the GT World YouTube channel. If you're in any other state or anything like that, I think it still might be on GT World on the YouTube channel there. So, but if you're in Australia, though, you can catch it live and a break free on Fox Sports 506. There you go, KO. Get yourself a free promotion. And I might get banned for that, but we'll see. So, very nicely done. Very nicely done there from the James Lucas Oil team as well. Got to give them a shout out in this race. But very nicely done. Nikola Solov, who very much deserves every single moment of that win. Very nicely done. Yes, indeed. It's up to you. You can catch it on GT World, the YouTube channel for GT World Challenge Australia. I don't think you can catch Porsche Sprint Challenge on GT World on the GT World YouTube channel, but you can certainly. I suppose you could probably find it somewhere else, but yeah, there's the celebrations going on there for Nikola Solov. So a massive weekend of action next weekend. But of course, it doesn't end here. Super Monday continues. We're live on air tomorrow morning from 8:45 for a 9:15 start. 30-minute build-up, of course, the grid walk with Martin Brendel, and plenty more as well. Let's head down on to the track. Alex Jakes is chatting with Nikola Solov.
Yeah. Mr. Jakes loves to drop in, doesn't he? And stand on the famous section of tarmac. Alex Jakes with you.
You are a Monaco winner in Formula 2. Tell us your emotions after taking the win.
Wow, yeah, it's just an incredible feeling to win it 3 times in a row.
It's true.
2 times in F3 and now in F2. I feel like mission's almost completed around this track. But yeah, I really love the place. Obviously, in qualified first in my group. Unfortunately, just messed out on Bowen. And today I was fighting until the end. I never backed down with the pace of Rafa. He was quite fast as well. And then we managed to execute a better strategy in the pit stop. So I feel amazing. I mean, it's a great redemption for what happened in Canada.
It was difficult in Canada. You bounced back brilliantly here. Tell me about the first part of your race when you were trying to apply the pressure. It felt like your entire race was going to revolve around that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I was always pushing to be close to him, trying to force him to do a mistake, which was my goal. And then at some point, I felt like the tires were dropping. And in that same lap that I was dropping, I caught 2 box because honestly, I couldn't get even around the hairpin. So it was pretty bad. And then once we boxed, I just focused on staying clean on the out lap. Obviously, it was really slippery, but I managed to do a good one and then get ahead of both of them.
And tell us the feeling when you've come over the line. You've done it before, as you say, in Formula 3. You've now done it in Formula 2. Tell us the emotions when you cross the line to win here. It's such a special venue.
Well, it's the best feeling ever, to be honest. I mean, it's even better in F2. And it just feels even sweeter after the tough times I've had the last 2 weekends.
Back in the championship fight. Go and enjoy the podium ceremony. Our winner, the Monaco master, Nikola Solov.
Yeah, very much the master of this circuit as well. Very nicely done there for Nikola Solov. And this was the moment that crucially changed the race. Rafa Kamara with a big lock up in towards turn number 1. That, of course, would end his race. Unfortunately, I can only imagine that is an axle problem of that car. But this was also the moment that changed Nikola Solov in all certain ways. He crossed the line, position 1 here at Monaco. And it's a very good feeling when that happens. And he will remember that right up through his F1 career, where he won in F3. He won in F3 twice. He then goes on to win in Formula 2. And an amazing cinematic shot there of him jumping through the air. So we're down now to the driver's room.
It was the vehicle or something like that. And yes, it was really good. So the tires were hanging out. It was like 6 seconds before I lost again out in front. Yeah, no, the tires were so really good. I was just trying not to crash it. Do you feel like the super soft is bad and then the soft is the red? Also, the outside, the strategy where he came out in front of me. On the soft, it's so much rain. I couldn't get around here. My fronts were dead. No, it's not in the air. Yeah, the lap I boxed was because I almost took my front wing off in the air. Oh, I took clutch and still couldn't get around, and I was like, mate, I almost want to take it throughout. So I was like, wait, where did me? Oh, yeah. How are you? That's it. And you were lucky you managed to get around it. Well, yesterday after the race,
I think they know that that they can't say much when it comes to being on air there. So that's why he didn't answer the question, what happened to you after the race. But what a race there from Nikola Solov. And we'll be very happy with that over the next couple of days. Again, it's a very short turnaround. We head to Barcelona next for the Formula 2 World Championship as well. But of course, the Super Week continues next weekend. As I said a few moments ago, GT World Challenge Australia. We've also got that followed by Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia, Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge Australia. We've also got Formula 2, Formula 1, of course. And the weekend after that, it's Italian F4 Freck. So a double header there. They head off to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix circuit. Should be an amazing weekend for them. Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix circuit supporting the Italian GT Championship. And of course, the weekend after that, it's back for the Formula 1. Where they will be heading off to, I think, I can only imagine. Oh, I can't remember. It was wherever the circuit is after Spain. Might be the Hungaroring. Where, of course, they head off to the Hungaroring about 2 or 3 weeks later. Then, of course, it's the summer break for Formula 1. And then, of course, on the same weekend of the Hungaroring, I think we are heading off to Darwin for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. But it's time for the podium celebrations with Dino Beganovic coming out first.
Standings. First standing, I'll tell you. The first Dino Beganovic position taken on the last lap. Brilliant job by the Ferrari Junior. Alex Dunn, the Alpine Rodin, finds himself in second position on the rostrum. But what a drive by Nikola Solov. Fantastic work from him. The Red Bull Junior driver takes his third win of the season for Campos. He did a lovely job managing the pit stops, getting him out on the racetrack. As well,
won the feature race in Formula 3 earlier.
Very nicely done there as the trophies being presented to the competitors. There on the top step of the podium is Nikola Solov, sitting second on the grid as well. Running the way of Kushmini. Very nicely done as well. Finishes P2 in the end. Sorry, that's Alex Dunn who finishes P2. Stand corrected there. And then, of course, it's Martinez Danchon who finishes in position 3 for the Dams Lucas Oil team. But it's Campos, ART GP team. And, of course, so 3 different drivers on the top, 3 different teams on the top step of the podium. Nikola Solov, the Italian driver. A beautifully done job. And the Italian national anthem. It's not Italian. I don't think it is. It is Italian. Very nicely done there. Nikola Solov finishes on the top step of the podium here at Monaco. And now the champagne will be sprayed. There are a few very strict rules that are given to the drivers. That you cannot spray the champagne near where the signage is, where, of
course, all of the ladies stand on the right-hand side. You cannot spray anywhere near there. You can spray it off the top step, but you cannot spray it anywhere near the screenage and all that sort of stuff. So, what a race that one was for the F2. And of course, Super Week continues. We continue tomorrow, Monday public holiday. It will be Monday public holiday F1 day, where of course we go racing for the Monaco Grand Prix with Andre Kim Antonelli on pole position. So yeah, should be fun indeed. We'll be on air for 8:45 for a 9:15 start. But until next week at Barcelona for F2, it is goodbye.
Intrigue and a run to the line for the podium positions. I really hope you've enjoyed it. See us next week for Formula 2 in Barcelona. Until then, goodbye.